He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Howell and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Hello, and welcome once again to Bat Minute Forever, the podcast where we fully restore your faith in this classic movie, Batman Forever, 1 minute at a time. Or do we restore your faith? I don't know with some people, honestly. After that episode with Jerry Porter where like he sat the whole time and then at the end was like, this movie is terrible. It's like, holy crap, he was keeping that under his hat. But anyway, I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
And here to rev your Harley 3 days a week, it is I, John Parker.
Was that an intentional reference to the animated series?
It was indeed.
Yeah, nice one. And you may not have realized this, guest, who people know as Jonathan Howell already, but you were tactically chosen for specifically this minute because of the things that feature quite heavily, and from all the way from not only the Mission Impossible Minute podcast, but also from the Cast and the Furious. We are joined by Jonathan Howell.
Yeah, I was just down at a biker bar in between episodes.
I am surprised they haven't done a spin-off yet that's all bike-related.
Oh, on the Cast and the Furious?
Well, Fast and Furious, not the podcast.
I thought for a second you meant Batman Forever.
No.
Well, the good thing is you get someone who loves both things. Both of my podcasts, the Minute Impossible podcast with the Mission Impossible movie, and then our new podcast that Murren Kennedy and I do called The Cast and the Furious, where we talk about the Fast and Furious movies 1 quarter movie at a time. You can get all your... This is a big gearhead minute right here. And we're huge
you're speaking
gearheads.
to 2 big gearheads here. So.
Oh, yeah. It's huge. So huge.
Not in terms of heroin, but in terms of in terms of cars and bikes.
Maybe both.
And hair.
Yeah. Murren would have been here, but he is so much of a gearhead. He's just like lying in a corner with the belt wrapped around his arm.
And he does way too much heroin. Too much.
So this is minute 44 of Batman Forever, and it begins with Bruce coming in, letting Dick peruse his collection of fine automobiles.
Gearhead mania.
Yeah. And it ends 1 minute later with Alfred sort of disappointed with the fate of his hot cuisine that he's concocted here.
There's one good thing about that burger and one bad thing about that burger. As well as it being meat, and I'm a vegetarian, we'll ignore that. But I'll save it for when we get to that bit.
That might be a Friday thing too, because we only get to see the burger for like 3.1 seconds, not even.
This problem I have with it needs to be mentioned straight away.
Okay, all right. Well, you mention your problem with the burger, and I will tell you the riddle, the answer to the riddle.
I think yours is going to be much more satisfying.
Yeah, maybe. I love that Dick comes right off the heels of. You go to a lot of biker bars, Bruce, with you running a car museum, Bruce. It's like, all right, Jay Leno.
Why does he keep like calling him Bruce so much too? Like it's almost like he's trying to hurl his name as an insult.
Yeah, stop
like,
calling
Bruce.
One. You're not staying with him. Call him Mr. Wayne, please.
But that's is it like? So you think like, oh, Bruce is such a dorky name or something like?
Because it's not. It's a very macho name.
But it's just so he keeps hurling it with such vitriol.
Think of all the manly people you know the name Bruce, like Bruce Valanche, Bruce Lee.
Yeah, that was really stretching. Like, don't I know anybody else called Bruce?
Bruce is it's a butch name.
Oh,
I think it's
Bruce Willis, star of Die Hard 4.0. I mean, we got to talk about that guy.
There you go. Exactly.
Maybe that's been the heyday of Bruce Willis in the 90s, too, so you can't throw that name around as an insult when you know, like, the biggest movie star in the world is called that.
Yeah, it's odd, isn't it? Like, I don't know, in conversation, I don't tend to use names.
Oh.
And also, I'm used to, from movies and television, I'm used to Americans being quite polite, as in, they say sir and mister and things like this. So you would think he would say, yeah, Mr. Wayne.
Oh yeah, what's your rule? Because everyone knows our rule. Tell me your
No,
rule.
everyone here is just a dickhead. Like,
That's where you start.
You would, if anyone ever called me like sir or something, it would be like weird. No one's ever said that to me in my life.
It's very Southern. It's an old Southern thing that if you don't know their name, you always call them by their last name. Even if you were introduced as like, this is Frederick Johnson, you would be like, hello, Mr. Johnson. And then when they would say, please call me Fred. From then on, he's now Fred. You never have to call him Mr. Johnson ever again. This happens this happens a lot with especially when you go people you go to school with, people you guys went to university with, whatever. People we went to school with, like their parents. For the longest time, it's Mr. and Mrs. Pope, for instance. It's one of my friends' best friends. And I never called them Jackie and Jane. That's just weird. And then later on, I started calling them Jackie and Jane, and I said it in front of my parents, and my parents looked at me like, oh. I'm like, no, they gave me. It's like because I'd be like, all right, Jackie, who's the guy, and I'd be like, thanks, Jackie, and he'd be like, and there's somebody in the background would almost be like, oh, you mean Mr. Pope? It's like, no, it's
Oh, that's so the opposite here. Here, you only do that with like teachers. You have to call teachers that. Anyone else, you just call them their name or just don't really address them. That's all.
To this day, I have a friend. I have a friend whose mother taught me from 6th grade, basically through like middle through high school, and I still call her Mrs. Her last name, Mrs. Eastwood, to this day.
I mean, as weird as it is to us, like it is also kind of nice. Like I would find it odd, but it's also. If someone did it to me when I was like, if I go to America or whatever, I'd be like, oh, it's kind of nice. I don't know, respectful.
I mean, that's the thing over here too, because we get a lot of people calling like at the end of sentences. You know, in Liverpool, you always get mate. You always get like love. Like like you go. Because I've seen debates on TV, like the things that Americans going like, oh, they don't like when someone like a man calls a woman honey because it's condescending and all this kind of thing. But like in shops and stuff over here, like when you're getting served by people, they're constantly calling you love and things like that. Where it's just like it's just part of the parlance. And stuff.
I agree with the people who don't like it, but it does happen constantly.
But anywho, that's the thing though, because now we have to delve into something we needed a gearhead here for, because it's like now we're getting into like this big. The car museum that Bruce has, and it's just like I don't know any of these things. Like,
I'm so completely, I just so everyone knows, the reason why we're doing the podcast that we do is it's a joke. We don't know anything about cars. Like we know nothing. Just I don't know. Not everybody knows who I am, so I just want to make sure no one's like, oh, all right, we're gonna get some real. We're really gonna talk about these cars. I'm not gonna talk about these cars, other than knowing what they are from the Internet Movie Vehicle Database. I couldn't tell you what they are. I couldn't tell you what the GTS at the end of their name means. I don't know what any of this is.
No.
I don't even change my own oil. I am the least geary person in the world.
But you're the most geary person on the show because neither of us drive.
That's right. I at least have a car. You guys are like riding around on bicycles and walking everywhere. Well, I mean, I live in Chicago. I walk a lot, but we do own a car.
It's
if
2020. Nobody drives. Come on.
I don't know. This is troubling information to me now because it's like, oh crap! Like, so I got nothing. Like, I literally look at these cars. It's like, so that's a car, right? Like, it's white. It's,
the white smooth one that looks like the Speed Racer car. That's basically what I can do. Is I can infer it with other movies. I can go, that's in Speed Racer.
It does look. Is that actually the Speed Racer car?
I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't find that out. I did look them up. First off, though, I'm with Dick. As in, this looks like a museum. I know it. We're kind of making fun of what he said, but this doesn't look functional. This doesn't look like somewhere you do your car up and fix it and change the oil and stuff. But then, it pans over to the cars there, and we see. I've written down there's a Well, I'm going to say this the English way.
Jaguar.
Because Jaguar.
That's fine.
It's an English car, so screw it.
That's how we've been saying it. Over the past few years, everyone's kind of like Jaguar. Fine. It's fine. Jaguar sounds a little more. Jaguar.
We'll let you off.
Jaguar.
Yeah, okay. Jaguar D-Type.
Yep.
Don't know what the G means.
Nope.
There you go.
Yeah.
But, obviously Bruce is a fan of the D. And,
that is true.
Nice.
And a 1955 Mercedes-Benz 300 SL... Is it coupe or coupe? I
think it's coupe. From Little Deuce Coupe by the Beach Boys. I at least know that it's coupe.
Now, there's some real gearheads. The Beach Boys.
The quintessential gearheads. Everything I know about vehicles, I know from the Beach Boys. And there's also a Shelby Cobra, which is a pretty cool name.
Yeah.
Although it's kind of like a dorky name followed by a cool name. Like Shelby is kind of like,
Cobra.
oh, that sounds like a nerd. And it's Shelby. That's like a geeky kid at school trying to give himself a cool nickname. Like, I'm Shelby, but call me Cobra.
Yeah,
Like,
you can't give yourself a nickname. It doesn't work, guys. Come on.
And there's something, the gearheads were real. You notice on the Internet Movie car database that they were very specific. Someone got on, like, after they said it's a Shelby Cobra. Someone's like, yeah, but this is the 1966 version. You're like, okay. Like, I don't know what the difference is between any of them. So,
Yeah,
did
I
one
looked
of them
them
have
up and they
giant
look the
fins?
same.
Did one of them have giant fins on the back? Like, I'm expecting something different. I'm like, oh, they're the same. What's the difference?
Well, this Jaguar as well. Is this the same one he was driving earlier? The same car when he went to meet Chase?
I guess that would make sense if it was.
It
yeah.
looks similar, but I'm not a gearhead. So.
Yeah. I do know, like, from, I think we all went to the same, maybe we were at the same site at the same time. Like, all
Probably.
three of us, like, hey. But, yeah, looking up these cars, like, any kind of connections between them. I do know that the Mercedes, it featured in the video for Summertime by DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
Oh, I still play that every summer.
Oh, there you go. Apparently, the video is them driving around in that car. So, of course, Will Smith went on to be Deadshot in Suicide Squad. It's featured in the BBC show Vexed, which is like a very tenuous link. And like, Vexed had Lucy Punch in it, who was in Lemony Snicket, which was like set designed by Bo Welch, who did all the set designs for Batman Returns.
John,
that's a
John,
good
I just looked it up. I hate to tell you this, but I'm going to have to take your gearhead card because the Jaguar that Bruce drives earlier in the movie is the 1953 Jaguar XK 120 Roadster.
Oh, I did bring that up at the
Everyone
time.
should know that if you're a true gearhead.
Oh, I'm going to put it down. I've had too many beers. That's what it is. That's what it is.
But John, you could friggin' educate Jonathan here on the ways of heroin like there's nobody's business, though. Like, you know the exact tautness you need to get that belt. You know exactly how to get that vein popping.
I'm the king.
And then the D-Type, the Jaguar. That does feature in The Man from U.N.C.L.E., and The Man from U.N.C.L.E. had frequent guest appearances by Yvonne Craig, who, of course, was the original Batgirl.
Oh, the show. I thought you meant the new movie. Okay.
Well, the new movie has Henry Cavill.
Yeah, of course. Who is
and I
Superman.
liked that new movie. I thought that was pretty good.
I thought it was okay. Like, it was just like, it looked great. Like, it looked really slick and stuff. But I was like, yeah, I wasn't hankering for any more. Like, I was just like, I think, yeah, I'm done with that. But nice try.
It was it felt like it was a good Bond movie. Like, cool.
Yeah, I like that movie too. I wish they did another one. For some reason, it's been painted as it's a failure. I'm like, what? No, it was good. Like, it's fun. It's fun and interesting. I mean, don't get me started. I'm still mad there's not an A-Team movie sequel, which I love. So
You liked the film?
yeah,
Oh.
love the film. Film's amazing. It's hilarious.
rad.
It's really good. I know.
I'd have to watch it again. It's
And
been a
also,
long time.
if you go look at it on like any of the Mojo or like Box Office Mojo and stuff, it made 4 times what it cost. And people are like, it's a huge bomb. I'm like, that's not a bomb.
No, these days, unless you're a
For a
record-breaking...
$120 million movie makes almost $500 million. You're like, that's good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but these days, unless you're breaking records, nobody cares, do
Yeah,
they? Like,
I
they'll
guess
say, every Star Wars movie, it's a bomb! It's like, no, it's made like billions. What are you talking about?
Well, that's even like Justice League, considered as drastic failures. It's like, it made money. It just didn't make as much money as they assumed it was going to
It
make.
didn't
So
make
that means
friends.
it's a turkey.
It didn't make any friends.
It didn't come here to make friends,
Oh,
Jonathan.
okay.
Like,
No.
It's just like Dick Grayson did not come here to look at these stupid cars. His eyes go directly to the next place.
Yeah. It is such like a manipulative, horror, villainous move. I guess because Batman is always, he's skewing that line between the light and the dark, isn't he? So it's like, okay, I know how to get this kid. But the thing is, what if this hadn't worked? Would he be like, okay, the kid also likes, I don't know, earrings and leather jackets. I'll bring him out to the tannery I have.
He has lured.
look at some of these leather
He
jackets
has
I have.
lured an underage kid into his giant white van of a garage with the candy of cars and motorcycles.
Yeah, it's very
It's
suspect.
predatory on a very high scale.
He's very into these bikes as well, because it moves over the room there, and we see bikes, loads of bikes, Dick in Dick Heaven, and he says there's a 1917...
Did you say Dick was in Dick Heaven?
I did.
Okay.
It's his personal heaven. You know.
Sure. Well, a lot of
But,
people's heaven may be dick heaven. I don't know. It's just not my
well,
heaven. That may be my heaven. I don't even know what happens when I go up there. What if I go to dick heaven? Guys, what if I go to dick heaven?
Don't we all? Don't we?
Everyone gets up there, and then just you see the shining light, and it turns out it's actually a light been reflected from Chris O'Donnell's earring, and it says he is God himself. He's just
Sparkle,
like,
sparkle.
Welcome to Dick Heaven.
But yeah, he says it's a 1917 Harley. So I looked them up.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure. Like, it very well could be one. It's kind of hard to tell from the images. They sure do not look like Harleys now.
No.
Yeah.
Well, Harley, at that
different.
point, were ridden by, they were ridden probably sparingly in the war. Probably used for the war effort to move around just, messages.
Whereas now, I'm not criticizing people. You can do what you want. There's an image of people riding Harleys. It's quite sad.
I'm not gonna look it up, but I bet you if you watch that first part of Lawrence of Arabia, spoiler for Lawrence of Arabia, that motorcycle that he crashes on probably was a 1917 Harley or something close. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it feels like it's one of those low to the ground. It doesn't have a front piece of it doesn't have that. Harley's I don't know what. I'm such a huge gearhead. The front of a motorcycle. You know how they have like different sections to it, and that section
With
that
the
looks,
lights on it and
yeah,
stuff?
I don't know what that's called, but it's basically just handlebars that are straight out. Like, it seems very uncomfortable, these old versions of motorcycles.
Yeah.
To be honest, you can't really ride a Harley. People do. They insist on doing it. It's very hard to ride one in the UK because I think the appeal of riding one in America, you've got a lot of long, straight roads.
Yeah.
So you can just sit on this thing, you can chill.
You can do the easy rider, like
Yeah.
the wind in my hair, long, big, wide open road and stuff. Like
We
ain't
don't have
nothing like that over here.
No.
Like,
All our roads are windy, bendy, because the country's so old, it's so like patchwork. There's no straight road. You're never going straight for more than 2 seconds. You're like,
Well, it's like your entire country is like Boston for us. Because when you go to Boston in America, everybody's like, God, Boston's such a mess. It's because they never burned down, and they just kept all their like weird roads for carts. So it's just like, well, this seems like the easiest way the cow wants to walk up the hill, so we'll just make this the road. and
that's basically here. Yeah,
and then it's like, I don't know, just pave it. And whereas in Chicago, they're like, well, we burned the whole thing down. Let's make everything straight and then make some of them diagonal so everything matches. And New York is like, hey, we got this figured out early on. We're like, grid. Everything's a grid.
I think if we had a grid like that, I would learn to drive.
Oh, yeah.
Because I used to live in Islamabad in Pakistan, and Islamabad is the same. It's like a big grid. Like literally, it would be like, oh, where do you want to meet this afternoon? You'd be like, I'll meet you in F6 because it is literally on a grid. And you'd be like, okay, F6, and it was great and it was easy. You knew where everything was. In England, you can just like wander the streets for hours and be lost.
I don't know. I really wanted to make like a deep dark Daria reference there, going like, I'll meet you at Lavender 5, but like it's such a kind of obscure reference. It's like I can't put that in. There'll be the one Daria fan who's like, I recognize that joke, but.
Well, keeping it Batman then, so not so obscure. Do you think, reference-wise, this being a Harley Davidson is a Harley Quinn reference? Because was she in the cartoon at this point? She would be.
At this point, like I wouldn't think so.
I think it's just
like she would have
happy
been
accident.
Yeah, I think she would have been in it, but it's like Harley Quinn didn't become like a cultural thing
For a little bit,
until
yeah.
like the mid 2000s. Really, like she may have been popular amongst fans of the show a little bit at that point, but like. I think it was like, she wouldn't have been anywhere near the level of popularity she is now. Like, you can't get rid of it. You can't get rid of that character now.
Yeah, if when they do Birds of Prey, if she's riding a Harley, that's on purpose.
Yeah. I imagine she probably will. We get another bike, a Vincent Black Knight.
Huh?
I wonder why they chose that one.
That's the thing too, because looking into it, apparently, according to the Internet Movie Car database,
It's not a Black Knight.
it's actually Vincent 1000 Black Prince.
Yeah, which is almost the same, but not quite.
I think they definitely, like you're talking about, like, Harley reference. This definitely was changed, so they could be like Black Knight.
But why didn't they just get the Black Knight bike? They look almost the same.
I can't know the production, according to Joel Schumacher, is like, we had a Black Knight bike, but no one loaded it on the truck that day. So we got the Black Prince, and that was the best we could do.
Also, no director No director before 2000 was thinking someday there will be a database of all the things, and some nerd will get on there and yell and be like, "That's not a black knight.
Yeah.
That's a black horse."
And nobody will talk about it minute by minute. That'd be insane.
That'd be insane.
That's the thing though, because only now through looking at it minute by minute, for some reason when I was a kid, I never heard him saying like, "This is a Vincent Black Knight." I thought he said it's a Saint Vincent Black Knight. So I thought it was called a Saint Vincent Black Knight. So I had a whole bit prepared. I was like, well, his actual name is an Annie Clark Black Knight. But it's like, so it turns out I can't do it. I always wondered because the biggest charity in Ireland when I was growing up was St. Vincent de Paul. I don't know if it's because I had St. Vincent de Paul going on in my head, and then I heard him say something that sounded like St. Vincent. And I was like, that must be what it is.
That's
it
what
must
it
be
is.
named for this St. Vincent de Paul character.
I think they make these saints up.
But I wouldn't be surprised that Jerry Porter was making up half of them during the last Crusade season.
But the Vincent Black Knight and Black Prince, they're updated models from previous designs, which
Of course.
it wasn't about streamlining it for speed.
Uh-huh.
Interestingly, you'd think, yeah, make it cooler, make it faster, because when you look into it, riders of the day were like, "Nah, this is powerful enough." They didn't need more power. It was about the idea that the rider could travel to work in a suit rather than a motorcycle kit. Which wouldn't fly now. Over here, there's laws against this. Like, you've got to... I think, like, over here, you have to wear a helmet, don't you, legally? I think so.
I'm sure
anyway.
you definitely do, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like... but the idea was, like, beforehand, you're riding a bike, you've got to wear, like, the leathers and stuff, because it can get caught in the mechanisms, it can get dirty and things, but this was like, let's try and make this for the regular person. They can ride it to work.
This is for your, like, John Joe, like, suit and tie guy.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Speaking
like,
of Saint, oh, is that Saint John Joe suit and tie? I love him.
Yeah, the
saint
famous
of-
patron saint of Liverpool.
Yeah.
Although that was the thing, like, 'cause I actually had a note here, and it kind of ties into what you just said, John, because I remember hearing a long time ago, if you look at the early days of Happy Days, like, the Fonz is never, like, more than, like, 6 feet away from his bike.
Yeah.
And apparently that's the thing, because, like, they wanted to have him in a leather jacket, because, like, leather jacket's cool, but at that point in culture, it was like the leather jackets are a symbol of, like, you know, juvenile delinquents.
Yeah, he never got to ride it on the show. It wasn't until later that you saw him like on the motorcycle.
So, like, apparently the reason he had to be near the bike at all times, though, to wear the leather jacket, because they're like, you can then allude to the idea that he might be getting on that bike to drive away at any minute. So that's what he's wearing the leather jacket for safety, because it's you know in case he falls off the bike or something.
Yeah.
So apparently that was a hard and fast rule in the early days of Happy Days. It's like, oh, the Fonz has to be constantly near his bike, just so we can say to people, like, well, he's about to get on and ride. So that's that's why it's there. But just in thinking about that, though, because my note is, like, Bruce's pitch to Dick Grayson here is basically to become the Fonz, because it's like, when you look back at who the Fonz was, like, oh yeah, juvenile kind of smartass in a leather jacket who was clearly played by an actor way older than the age of the character, and he ended up kind of like being not a freeloader, but like Fonz's whole thing was like, yeah, he lived in like the treehouse to the main family, and he worked as a mechanic.
Treehouse?
And stuff. It's like,
Didn't
he live in a
He lived
treehouse?
above the garage.
Oh, above the garage. Okay. The treehouse is above the
Hey,
garage.
treehouses are cool. Hey.
Yeah, the cool kids live in tree houses. No,
But
when I was
wonder
a
if
kid,
he is kind of like Bruce. Like, it's kind of like you like the Fonz, right? He's like, I love the Fonz. Come to my Happy Days memorial garage that I have.
Who's
over
got
here."
2 thumbs and a treehouse? This guy.
when I was a kid, I never ever caught on to the fact that he's clearly much older than he's supposed to be. And then you watch it now and you're like, oh my god.
Oh yeah, he.
That's like sometimes now you're like, are they trying to say that like a 35-year-old man is going to school with this guy?
Last month, my wife and I met him for the first time at he was at a convention, and because it was a baseball card and a football cards. My kid collects football cards, and my wife's like, all right, see, she goes, hold the phone. She's like, Henry Winkler's gonna be there. I go, yeah, they do like these weird things where they just kind of, if the money's right, they'll come in, pop in for a couple days.
Why not?
Why not, right? And it was insane. He's wearing this yellow shirt, this little V-neck, and we walk up and he's like, hello. I'm Henry. I'm Henry. And we're like, yeah. They're like, yeah, we know. You lived in a treehouse. You're super cool. He even introduced himself.
How is his
to my
treehouse doing?
They're good. He introduced himself to my 11-year-old. He's like, hello, I'm Henry. And he shook his hand. And I was like, oh my
Very
God.
formal.
Yeah, he was very cool. My wife is a huge mega fan of Henry Winkler's. But yes, he was, well, they all were like 48 years old in high school in that show. It was...
It is like, although I can't speak because I like started receding my hair like when I was like 18 or so. But like, yeah, looking like Richie Cunningham's like, that's a guy who's going bald.
Look at
right
Potsy.
there. Like,
Potsy was there too. I didn't hang out with them, but I did see them come in to take a picture with Henry Winkler. It was Ralph Malph and Potsy were there.
That must be rough because those other guys are like, the people who got out of Happy Days okay is like Henry Winkler because he's doing some of like over in HBO for Barry. He's doing some of the best work of his career. Like he's still a relevant actor.
Well, Potsy is a director. Potsy.
Oh, is he?
Yeah,
okay.
he directs TV.
All right, okay,
cool.
So I was going to say the rest of them must be like, oh, good.
Yeah, Donnie Most. I don't think he does
right
anything, so I don't know.
So the company actually collapsed financially, unfortunately, despite it being an incredibly popular bike. I looked into it, and it says that basically their affluent customers sort of encouraged them to make this high-end luxury touring model. But at the same time, like, there were a lot of cars coming out at the time flooding the market, which were undercutting them massively, because they're not luxury. People just want cheap.
Yeah. And also, remember, the better the bike you build, they only get one. And then you don't buy another one for...
And you're not going to replace it anytime soon.
No.
You're going to keep that going as long as possible. So the Vincent accountants, I love the wording on this. They suddenly realized they were losing money on every bike sold. So, like,
It's just like Mr. Burns finally checking his stocks since 1929. It's like, everything's just fine. And oh no.
Basically,
when did this happen?
So the last model they did was it left a production line in 1955.
Oh.
So in this movie, it's a retro bike. That's a rare bike.
I mean, again, do you imagine? I can't imagine Bruce Wayne driving around like. In my mind, I still have the idea like Bruce Wayne, when he ain't been Batman, he's down in the cave still doing Batman business.
Oh yeah.
I don't imagine him. Like, I think maybe these are just all there for show or something.
They're for show. Look, this is a showroom. He does not touch these things.
Because it just was. Maybe I'm sure he knows how to ride the bike, but I can't imagine like this could be just like this is all Alfred's stuff. Like I don't know. I'm not doing anything with the money. Like he's going off and buying the friggin'. Apparently, he's told me. For all, it could be that like Bruce should be like, no, that's actually a Vincent 1000 Black Prince. It's just that he himself doesn't know that it's not actually the Black Knight.
Master,
he's just like
Master Bruce. I just made him a hamburger, and you're giving away one of my motorcycles. What do you? No, don't do that. And now I'm turning to James Mason, but
Shut up, Alfred.
Would you please bring this young man? That's the thing though, because Bruce does mention like, Alfred's actually a very good mechanic. And it's like I'm flashing back to Michael Keaton working on that Batmobile at the end of Returns, but by himself, and just getting the image now of Alfred being like, "Oh God, confound it, Master Bruce, get out of the way!
You're
I'll
always
do it."
doing it wrong, sir.
You've ruined it.
Actually, if Bruce came down, he saw the new Batmobile Batman or Alfred built. What the hell's that fin in the back of it for? I put all my weekend into building this for you, sir.
I also made it look like a rib cage. Is that weird? No, normal.
Oh, do you want to attach the cover yourself, sir? Like, all right, Alfred, okay.
How
I'll
about
take the
this?
exposed rib
You
cage.
look at the car while I'll go make you a burger. We'll talk about it when I get back.
That's all they eat these days. Burgers.
I think we're still circling the airport to get to this burger because I want to talk about it.
Next minute. We're so close.
Well,
we
can bring it up in a
John has
second.
to bring up. Yeah, John has to bring up his very important part.
I want to get it out of the way because you're all probably going to be like, "What are you talking about? You're a freak." But
we'll mention though before we move on that because we're saying like, none of us are gearheads, but one guy who actually is a gearhead is Val Kilmer. He's he is a guy who he feels the need for speed, of course.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so he was he's majorly into his cars, and actually when he worked on the movie Streets of Blood with 50 Cent, apparently 50 Cent is also like a big gearhead. He's really into like classic cars and stuff.
That fits.
Apparently Val Kilmer was very shocked when 50 Cent gifted him a 1965 Chevy Impala that he bought for $100,000. Just
Imagine
out of,
being that rich that you can gift someone that.
That's the thing though, because like I was like, oh, isn't that nice of 50 Cent? But then I realized like, 50 Cent used to be like a legitimate criminal. Like he got shot like 9 times. It's like I wouldn't be surprised like he gifted him this car. It's like, there's all bullet holes over it and stuff. And he's like, yeah, don't drive it in public. It's
What's all this white powder in there?
Also, word of the wise, it does not stop bullets.
Yeah. There's a speed holes to make the car go faster.
Hell yeah.
But it's like, yeah, I wouldn't be like surprised. It's like, oh yes, I bought it for $100,000, Val. Just take it off my hands, please. I can't be seen with it. Like, oh, thank you so much, 50 Cent.
Weirdly, Bruce does something similar here because, he conveniently first lets slip that some of the bikes don't work. They're going to need a lot of stuff doing to them. Who could possibly stick around? And he offers Dick one of the bikes to fix them up, basically. That's suspicious. That's weird.
It is weird. I wonder if he ever keeps that bargain too. Like the both of them. I want to be a scene in Batman and Robin where Bruce is like, "Have you fixed that damn bike yet? You've been here for 4 damn years."
Tomorrow. It's like paint my chicken coop.
Yeah, make me. It's like I'm buying you friggin' rubber body armor. I'm giving you bike parts. You're doing nothing for me, kid.
Yeah, this whole thing still reminds me, as I've brought up before, of Twin Peaks. It's James Hurley. This is the job James Hurley gets in Twin Peaks season 2. He sticks around to fix someone's vehicle with the promise of some bonuses. Maybe there's no sex in this, like there is in Twin Peaks, but
It should be at the end. It's like, and then you can just get on your bike and go. Like, that's what I want to do, Bruce. That's all I want to do. Although I did feel that like Bruce was a much more callous guy because the way he says like, "Oh well, I'm sure you'll land on your feet." It's so kind of like, is this too soon? It's like his parents didn't land on their feet. It could be it'd be like, well, unlike your parents, I'm sure you'll land on your feet. Like, oh Jesus, Bruce, you cold asshole.
Oh, that's evil.
I was like, that's for that biker bar crack kid. Get the hell out of my house.
That's when Alfred just drops the plate of food. He's just like so aghast that he said that.
Oh, Master Bruce.
My word.
But much like, oh, me and John can make, bald jokes because we're both bald guys. Like, Bruce is like, oh, my parents are murdered. I can make these jokes.
Yeah, we're members of the bald community. He's members of the orphan community. It's fine.
Yeah. It's like, oh, no, you don't get the newsletter yet, kid. We rib each other about our parents' deaths all the time.
And oh god, it's so strange. And then when he does bid him adieu, and he walks off very unconvincingly because it's like, oh, what a shame, and he walks away very slowly,
as if waiting for the wait, Bruce. Wait, did you say something?
Yeah, he's waiting for it.
Okay.
It's coming.
And finally, we're to the burger.
The burger.
Yes, and it's not just the burger. But it's such a bizarre contrast to me because it's like they are trying to indicate that this is a kid staying with them. So Alfred has brought him a glass of milk, as if like, oh, milk for a growing boy. And it's like, you don't drink milk with a burger. What, are you crazy?
Right.
That's not
an American thing.
That's a very Southern thing.
Really?
Meat with milk.
Because over here, like, once you're out of, like, what age? Let me think. You might be given milk at school up until you're about 10. And then from that point onwards, you're never drinking milk.
Yeah.
Ever.
You do get, like, sometimes I will get a hankering for some milk, and I'll take a little swig from the bottle, and that's about it. Because, like, you're just like, I'm not pouring a glass of it. Like, and you maybe if you're having like very spicy food because it's an emulsifier, so it's like
apparently
well,
it works. Yeah.
And for a good, like when I go to, have you guys ever heard of Cracker Barrel?
No, well I've heard of it, but never.
Okay, well it's a restaurant. They say it's a general store. It's a restaurant. They have like country things in it. One of the breakfasts I always get, the Country Boy breakfast. It's steak. It's like steak medallions
for breakfast.
Yes, steak, eggs, hash browns. Grits, potatoes. This is one person's breakfast. And I always get a big glass of milk. Now, I do not eat this in my normal life, but for some reason, Cracker Barrel makes me think of my childhood, and that's what I ate when I was a kid in the South.
Hey, have you seen a full English breakfast?
Oh, yeah.
It's even bigger.
I love a full English breakfast.
Yeah.
Oh,
don't worry. And then, what have you got in Ireland now? You've got a similar thing, haven't you?
Oh yeah, the Ulster fry with the thing. It is available in Liverpool because we tracked it down one day. But of course it has I never take the full Ulster fry because it is soaked in baked beans.
See, I would love that.
So
but you'd be on
board with it, but except now you can't because obviously you get a vegetarian fry, I guess. But
they'll do a veggie one. But the thing is, you don't like beans, but you acknowledge that that's your quirk, right?
Yeah.
What I don't like is when people are like, "Oh, that's weird." It's like, no, it's not weird.
No, it's just
like
another
when
thing.
I ate meat and stuff, I didn't like fish, and I acknowledge that was my weird thing. It wasn't weird of other people to like fish.
Well, actually, the thing though, Alfred in himself has not. He's not tried to acknowledge any potential dietary preferences that Dick Grayson might have. He's just assumed. Well, I'm assuming he's a meat eater. I've made a burger for him. I'm
It's the
assuming
90s.
he's. Yeah, he's like, oh, man, I don't know if he's lactose intolerant or not.
He's an acrobat.
but-
How much meat do you think this guy eats? None. Probably none.
Hey, he needs protein.
He does, but I
Do
don't
you
know.
think that's actually a milkshake? Because that might be more of like
No,
an American thing that
if it
teenagers
was a
would eat.
milkshake, it
but-
would have a straw in it in a movie.
It'd have to have a straw.
Yep. Milkshake.
We ran out of straws.
Oh, sir, not only did we run out of parents, we've run out of straws. See, I can do it too, Master Bruce. We're all
Or it
in
could be
one
one of
big
those-
gang.
It's cool, kid. Alfred's parents were murdered as well. That's fine.
It's like a roast. No, Alfred's parents weren't murdered. He has a niece. Well,
Yeah.
I guess they could have been murdered, but he had a sister or a brother.
I do wonder though. The reason he's got the milk is like, well, he did say in that one advert for in '89, like they were down to their last Diet Coke. So he's like, oh, we have nothing else in the house. It's milk or nothing. Somebody didn't pick up anything at Gotham Central store.
We can't drink the water, as you know.
Well, but the burger, though. The burger, right. First off, the thing I like about the burger. I am a fan of when people randomly put onion rings in a burger.
Yes.
Now, again, weirdly, this seems to happen in English places when you go somewhere that does, this is going to sound so funny to you, American food.
Sure.
It's an American, like, diner.
You got to have
And they'll
something
do that.
fried on it because you're like, look at the burger and you're like, there's nothing fried on this burger.
This isn't American.
This isn't American. What would we fry an onion up and put it on top? Fine. Fine.
So they do that, and it's nice. I like it. The thing I don't like, right? This is, and I know Alfred's doing this because he's posh. If you go to a fancy restaurant that does a burger, some of them do. They're like, we're posh, but we're going to do a burger. But we're going to do the burger posh. They take the top of the bun off, and they leave it laying on the side like that. And I can't stand it.
Okay. This is
can't stand it.
where your ignorance of burgers, I think, comes in. It's not a bad
No.
thing. It's just an ignorance. It's not bad. When you are bringing
This is
someone,
bad.
when you're bringing someone a burger, actually, I think if he was more posh, he wouldn't have had the bottom bun on either,
Oh, no.
because the bottom bun.
Well, construct his own burger.
No, what happens is if you're making that big, look how thick that burger is. The burger is almost an inch thick. The juice coming out of that burger. Also, remember, he has made this in between 2 minutes ago. He has made this entire meal. So that burger is sopping wet with grease. And it
That's
is now
fine. That's a
running
burger.
into the bottom bun, but not the top bun. So it's a mess. It's a nightmare. You can't pick that up.
99% of places you go, you'll get it normal.
Yeah,
the
I know.
bun will be together. Fancy places, or pretend to be fancy places, they do this. I don't like it because I know what you're saying. Maybe okay. But I get the implication is they want you to eat it with a knife and fork.
Yes.
And I'm not doing that.
What?
I don't care how posh your restaurant is.
See, I will though. If the burger's exceptionally big
Yes.
and it's exceptionally messy, I'll
Nope.
crack out the night
Like
before.
I
like
won't-
Chili's. We have Chili's here. I don't know if you guys have terrible Taco Bell. Do you have terrible Chili's over there?
No.
Well,
We don't, but I've been to a Chili's in Thailand.
Oh, it has a big. I'm sure it's perfect. It has a big mouth burger, and it's like a really big. It's like this. It's like a lot. Like the tomato wedge is very large. The onion. It's not a fried onion, but the onion is big. The lettuce is big, and you just look at it and go, I can't put my mouth around the side of this, so I'm just going to.
Oh.
I'm just going to just start eating it now.
We've got that, the gourmet burger kitchen in town here. It's really nice, but it's you cannot fit it in your mouth. But the point remains, I will not use a knife and fork. It's a burger.
Like, even if it's ergonomically impossible,
Yep.
I will still eat this with my hands.
I will struggle and I will make it work. If it's too big, it's their fault. And the problem with that is when I ate meat, at least, I would get the one called the Kiwi burger. So it's based off New Zealand food. And in New Zealand, a big thing is having beef with egg and beetroot.
Egg
So it's
is
got that
great.
inside.
Egg's great, but beetroot gross.
Oh, see, I love both. It's
I
a New Zealand
I
thing.
like beetroots. I just don't like them in it. This is when I've been watching. Of course, I watched the Great British Bake Off, guys. Of course.
Oh, well, even I haven't.
Oh well, I watch it, and your guys, your fixation with roots like rhubarb and things that you
Yes.
you guys are like. I'm gonna make a cake, and I'm gonna put rhubarb in it. And the first thing I'm like, no.
Rhubarb's the best thing ever.
And I'm like, why are you ruining this burger? Or this,
It's lovely and
cake?
stringy.
It's lovely and stringy and wet. What a great way for anything in a cake. That's what I want.
It's delicious.
It is delicious. I have had rhubarb in food, and I was like, oh, it's quite pleasant. But the problem is, I'm watching them make this beautiful. Well, first of all, don't get me started on the fact that you guys call biscuits are cookies, because to me a biscuit is a biscuit. And so the show,
You guys are
look,
wrong.
the show's a lot of highs and lows for me. When I'm watching, I'm like, today we're going to do biscuits. I'm like, hell yeah, they're making biscuits. And then they make a little cracker, and I'm like, oh man.
Basically, the way to wrap your head around it is anything you call a cookie is a biscuit.
Right.
And to us, a cookie is a specific type of biscuit.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
I think Niall and I have talked about this.
Oh, there you
I
go.
think we've had the cookie debate, but yes, I will agree that a posh burger does have its top off, and Alfred is, if he's anything, he is posh.
Yep,
Well,
yep.
what this reminds me of, well, it's two things. Like, there's a modern phenomenon that I've only really noticed. Is like way I make a burger, it will be you have your base, you put your patty on it, and then you put the salad on top. But it
Yes.
seems now it's standard practice in a lot of places. Like, no, the salad goes first.
I
And
found out
think-
why.
I think there is apparently a logical, like, efficiency based reason. I don't know, maybe you say yours, John. See if it's the same thing.
Okay, well, the reason, because I looked this up, because apparently there was an uproar when they changed the emoji
Oh.
of the burger to have it this way round, the lettuce on the bottom.
Oh.
And it is purely, basically, what you were saying, Jonathan. It stops the juices hitting the bun.
Yep. On the bottom, that makes sense.
That's a thing that was part of the reason I had heard, but it's also because it means that people can plate up the bun with the salad and stuff first while the meat is cooking.
Yeah,
so
get it
it's
ready.
more efficient, so you can get it out faster and stuff. But still, I will flip that burger upside down to get the texture right.
I hate people who flip a burger upside down for no reason.
I think that's a monstrous thing to do. I'm with John on
terrible.
that. You can't flip it over. It was built this way for a reason. The reason why the
Yep.
round part's on the top is because it's round.
Because that's the top.
It's a top.
But then the thing is, like, this also reminds me as well, like, you can get like an old advert from mid 80s of like a thing McDonald's used to do where they served burgers where you could get the top separate, so it would come in a package. And I remember specifically because Jason Alexander is doing the ad. It's a pre-Seinfeld Jason Alexander where he's like, "Are you sick of having your salad, soaked through, and it's not as crisp as it should be because it's sitting on top of your burger and stuff?" And he's dancing down the road, and it's very, very embarrassing. It's been holed up because it's like, look at what he used to have to do and stuff. But it's like, I think McDonald's were really thinking, this is a problem we either had people report or we ourselves have noticed that, like, yeah, the salad gets greasy if you have it sitting on top of the meat.
I kinda like that.
We're gonna manufacture like little takeaway boxes, which are just basically two burger boxes combined, wherein you store your salad on top of the bun to keep it crisp, and then you basically. The thing is, it seems like it's a disaster waiting to happen because then you have to flip it over to get it onto the meat. So I'm assuming that's why it's not a thing anymore, because people are like, well, this is really stupid. But or maybe people are like, no one cares about this. McDonald's at this point is like, I'm always shocked when they put so much effort into advertising, because it's like everybody already knows what you are. Like,
You don't need to do an ad.
Yeah, there was a comedian a long time ago that used to do a joke. Like, he's like, those people that walk up to the McDonald's checkout and they look at the top of the board. The menu hasn't changed in 50 years. What are you looking at?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Get a hamburger.
Yeah, they'll occasionally do a special, but they'll have advertised that like 1,000 times before you've even
and
got
they like
to
walk up and are
so-
like perusing it, going, "What do I want?" Like, and they're like looking at the menu as if they've never seen the menu. Like, do you have a section that's just not burgers? Yes, it's over there. It's the fish fillet. They have one thing. What are you doing?
Do you have these things now? We have them here, where you can order on an electronic kind of. It's almost like a tablet.
Yeah.
And then you just go and collect it.
Yeah,
it
it's
saves so much hassle.
We have we have very posh McDonald's now in certain parts of the city. One is a 2-story all white, like looks like the future, and you walk up to a kiosk and you Running Man style, put your thing in, Demolition Man, put your thing in, have a joy filled day, that kind of thing. You put in your meal, and then you barely interact with the human. The human literally just walks over to you with your food at the table. They bring it to you, and I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. You've taken the worst parts of McDonald's out of it, which is talking to the people that work at McDonald's.
Yeah, I'll endorse anything that removes human interaction.
Yeah,
I think it's great. Like, we've got a pub here, a pub chain, the biggest one, called Weatherspoons, right? And basically, it's a cheap, really dirt cheap pub. So it's full of interesting characters.
Yeah. Also does food as well. So you can get
food.
Bunch of Dick Graysons, bunch of out of work circus acrobats.
Like, they're fine. You'll go there from time to time. You can get a nice cheap German beer for £2.50.
One of the spot out, like, you go to a lot of Weatherspoons, John. I was like, is that an insult? Or what is that?
There is one in town I do go to sometimes. But they have an app now. So you order your drinks and they just bring them to your table. You don't even have to go to the bar. You don't have to spend 10 minutes standing at that bloody bar waiting to be served by some idiot. It's great.
Although, like, I think it's a typical thing. It's like, former guest of the show, Gary Gavigan, he's a guy who always gets on board with these like technological innovations.
Yeah, we're similar, me and him. Yeah,
but the thing is, like, something always seems to kind of slightly go wrong when he does these things. Like, I remember years ago we were getting a flight back from Germany, and it was just around the time when, like, having your boarding pass saved on your phone was a thing. But everyone else had printed theirs out because, like, oh, so you go and you print out your boarding pass. But he was swaggering around like that with your pieces of paper. I got it saved on my phone, baby. And then we got to the front of the line. It was like in Germany. It was absolutely jam-packed airport. Couldn't get a Wi-Fi connection to get his boarding pass up.
The kinks have to be worked out, man.
Yeah, and he was standing for ages, and it was just like, well, you should have printed it out, man. And then the last time I went to, I don't think it was Weatherspoons, but it was something akin to that. They also had that feature of, like, you can just order from the app on your phone. And he's like, that's what I'm going to do. Screw stand up. And then I went and ordered my food, sat back down, and he was still fiddling with the app. And my food and beer showed up about a half hour before his did because he was dicking around with that app so much.
Hey, but once you get it set up, it's plain sailing.
Well, I guess it is true, though. But
John will do anything to not talk to another human being.
Basically, yes. To me, a successful day is a day where I have not spoken to anyone.
You should really, like, just get into my racket, John. Like, get into proofreading. So I can go entire weeks without interact with people if I don't want to.
That would be bliss.
Now, you don't mind interacting with them online. Like, you can have a text chain with them. The
text is fine.
Is it physical, or like if I turned on my camera right now, that's the problem? Like, is it
that would push it over the edge?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why John's been dodging all the invites to the Cast and the Furious. Like, I hear about these Zoom meetings you're doing, and I'm not.
What are those?
Not putting
Is that a video? Is that video? And Niall famously does not show his face on.
Yeah.
No, he hates photographs, don't you?
Hate photographs of me. Hate seeing myself in the camera. Just can't stand it. So I was like, no, I refuse.
We have to work on this body positivity, which we should probably do between now and Friday. At the end of the episode,
I just realized we've cleared an hour.
We're over an hour. Yes. So we'll work on Niall's body positivity, and we'll do the plugs again on Friday. This is my new thing: Monday and Friday. Screw Wednesday. Wednesday sucks.
No one listens to him. No one listens to our plugs anyway. It doesn't matter.
Wednesday's the worst day of the week because both the previous weekend and the coming weekend seem so far away. It's like, it's depressing.
But we'll get. But as we leave, just think: on Friday, you're going to get to learn the answer to the riddle.
Yeah.
I have another hot take on the burger that I am holding on to because I know we went long. So there's a lot involved. There's a lot going to happen on Friday. And Friday is the end of the week.
Exactly. Friday, best time, party time. We're all in good spirits. Yep. We're going to have fun, people. Join us on Friday.
I'm going to order a beer on my app right now, and hopefully it'll be here in the next 30 or 45 minutes.
Hell yeah. See you in Weatherspoons.
See you, Weatherspoons. Next time. Misty waters colored memories of the way they were. After a manservant motions to give his meal to the mansion's mutts, a restless ragamuffin relents to one night of respite in the ritzy residence of the Dark Knight. But will an analog orphan acquiesce to... what is that word? And what is that word? Anamnesis? 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 What is that? Anamnesis. Okay, all right, pick up from here. Acquiesce to animus and find himself frequented by a familiar flashback. Find out Friday. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute. Can I get you a burger? You want a burger? No? Burger?
Ba-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da.